You want to water plants while away, so you hire a kind neighbor and leave clear notes. She even sends photos while watering plants on holiday for you. You come home, the garden is dead. More than 2,000 gardeners upvoted that story, and one reply became a legend. Narrator: it was in fact not watered. I am Mikkel. I drive buses in Belfast. Welcome to Term 3, the Survival Guide. First lesson: why handing your watering to a human nearly always fails, and when an automatic watering system wins. Let me give you the full case file. A gardener on the gardening forums goes away for 12 days. Not a reckless person. They hire someone to water, they hand over money, they leave instructions. Halfway through, the sitter even sends photos of herself watering the garden. Proof, you would think. Then the gardener comes home. The box plants are brown, and the rest of the garden is not looking much better. So they post the whole story online, with pictures, and ask what on earth happened. More than 2,000 people upvoted it. 653 comments piled in to investigate, and the top reply, the one that became a legend, needed only 7 words. Narrator: it was in fact not watered. More than 7,000 people upvoted that verdict. Now it is a funny line, but stay with the evidence, because something here does not add up. There are photographs of a woman watering this garden, and the garden still died. So either she staged the photos, which is a strange hobby, or something happened in those pots that a photograph cannot show. That second answer is the whole of today's episode, because it turns out you can point a hose at a plant and still not water it. And if this were one unlucky gardener, fair enough, it is not. Open the casebook. Case 2. A gardener pays a family member $200 to water for a single week. A quarter of the plants die anyway. Nearly 2,000 people upvoted that one, most of them in sympathy. Case 3. From this side of the water, a gardener in the UK skips the arrangements entirely and gambles on the forecast, because rain was promised. The rain never came. 20 chili seedlings and 16 tomato seedlings gone in a week. A whole spring of work in the bin. Case 4 is my favorite because nothing died. A gardener goes away for a fortnight and asks her dad to water the vegetables. He did, faithfully, but nobody said anything about picking. She came home to marrows the size of your arm, and courgettes fit only for the compost heap. Even when the watering works, the plan can still fail. People on the UK forums now discuss hiring professional garden sitters as a paid service because nobody trusts the free version anymore. So here is the real question. Why does a simple favor done by decent people fail this consistently? So let us run the tape. Nobody kept a diary, but 600 comments did the detective work, and the pattern they found is worth replaying slowly. Day 1. The sitter arrives full of good intentions. Everything gets a proper drink. Day 3. She is busy, so the showy pots by the door get a splash, and the rest get a glance. Day 5. Skipped. The garden looked fine yesterday, so it can wait. Day 7. Skipped again. And here's the thing, it still looks fine. Day 9. The leaves have gone crisp, and now comes the panic. She floods everything, snaps a photo of the watering in action, and sends it over. Proof of work. Day 12. You land. The garden already left. One commenter put the whole mechanism in a single line. It was not watered until it was dead, and then it was overwatered. That is the shape of nearly every disaster in this genre. Not malice, a slow slide, then a flood. But notice the 2 mysteries hiding in that timeline. Mystery 1. Why did the garden still look fine on day 7 when it was already dying? Mystery 2. Why did a proper flood on day 9, caught on camera, save nothing? Those 2 answers are the science of this whole episode. Mystery 1 first. Why did a dying garden keep looking fine? Because container plants hide the damage until the damage is nearly done. Remember term 1. A pot is a small water tank with a big evaporating surface. In a summer heat wave, a hanging basket can run through its whole supply in half a day. But the plant does not wilt the moment the tank runs low. It draws down its reserves, quietly, and looks perfectly normal doing it. Like a bus coasting after the fuel light comes on, still moving. Nothing wrong on the outside. Then it stops. So on day 5, when the sitter looked out and saw a fine garden, she was reading the gauge wrong. The tank was already empty. The plant just had not told her yet. And here is the part nobody says out loud. You know your own pots. You know, the terracotta one by the back door dries by lunchtime while the glazed one goes 3 days. She does not know any of that. Watering a strange garden properly is a real job. Hand watering a medium garden runs past 7 hours a week. Nobody does 7 unpaid hours for a neighbor. The kindness is real, the hours are not. So the garden slides. Now, mystery 2, the photo. She really was watering, the camera really did see it, and the garden still died. Here's what the camera cannot see. When a peat-free compost dries right out, it stops absorbing water. It turns water repellent, like a dry sponge that shrugs the first cup off. Worse, the dried root ball shrinks and pulls away from the side of the pot, leaving a neat little gap all the way round. So the panic watering arrives on day 9. The water hits the surface, finds that gap, slides straight down the inside of the pot, and pours out of the drainage holes. On camera, that looks perfect. Water going in above, water coming out below. Job done. Inside, the root ball is still bone-dry powder. She watered the pot. She never watered the plant, so she was not lying, and the narrator was still right. It was, in fact, not watered. Both true at once. That is the photo mystery solved. There is a rescue for a pot that far gone, a slow soak from below, and it gets a full episode later this series. Today, just know the trap exists. Now flip the coin, because the same forum keeps a file of the holidays that worked. One gardener rigged up a simple drip line on a cheap hose timer before a 5-day trip. Nothing clever. Plastic line, a timer, a tap. They came home to a garden that had not noticed they were gone. 3,000 upvotes of pure relief. And notice what actually won there. Not expertise. The sitter who failed knew more about plants than a plastic box does. The box won because of what it does not do. It does not judge by eye, so it cannot be fooled by a plant that is hiding the damage. It does not skip a quiet day, it does not panic and flood, it just delivers the same drink at the same time every time. I drive buses for a living, so believe me when I say this. The timetable does not care how the road looks. That is the entire point of a timetable. Now, let me be fair to the humans. A person can spot greenfly, pick your beans, and text you a photo of the sunset. A timer will never do any of that. But for the one narrow job of moving water on schedule, the boring machine wins every single time. Which brings me to the kit on my own tap, because this exact scenario is why I bought it. The Johgee 4-zone timer. 4 outlets from one tap, each on its own schedule. While I am away, the patio pots get their daily drink, the greenhouse drip runs each morning, and the lawn takes its turn twice a week. The holiday part is the hub. It sits inside the house and talks to the tap unit by radio through brick, instead of gambling on garden Wi-Fi in an empty house. One customer in York ran it through 2 weeks in Spain and came home to a living garden. Now, the honest bit. If you are only away for a weekend, you do not need it. Huddle your pots together in the shade and most will cope. And hear this. No timer should meet your garden for the first time on departure day. So the machine does the watering. Does that mean you do nothing before you go? No. Your job is to shrink the task before you hand it over. 4 moves, all free or nearly free. First, Pot up anything precious into a container one size bigger. That roughly doubles the water the roots can draw on, which buys days, not hours. Second, move the hanging baskets down and out of the wind, and huddle your pots together in a shady corner. Wind strips water out of a basket faster than sunshine does, and a crowd of pots shades its own soil. Third, be ruthless with the strugglers. A plant that is already failing will not survive your holiday. Compost it before it breaks your system's heart. And fourth, if a kind neighbor offers to help, take the offer but change the job. They are not your irrigation system anymore. They are the backup. Give them a written list, 2 minutes long. Check the timer ran, check nothing is wilting, and message you if something looks wrong. That is a job, not a favor, and jobs get done. Everything on that list works better with a head start, which raises the last question. How much of a head start? There is a number, and it gets the whole of next week's episode.